The restaurant lights shimmered softly against the glass, as though the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. At a small corner table, a young woman sat nervously twisting the strap of her old purse. Her heart raced as she glanced between the crystal chandelier above and the gleaming silverware in front of her. This world of elegance wasn't hers. It felt like a dream she didn't belong in. Her lips trembled as she whispered words she had carried in her heart for far too long. "I don't deserve this date." But the man sitting across from her, Daniel, looked at her gently and said something that would change her life forever. "Before I take you deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in love that heals the broken, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little hope today. Your support keeps HQ Infinite Stories alive and helps us bring more hearts together through stories like this one. Her name was Emily Carter, a 27-year-old woman who had weathered more storms than most people could imagine. She grew up in a quiet town called Bloomfield, raised by a single mother who fought hard just to keep food on the table. Her father had walked away before she could even remember his face, leaving behind only bitterness and silence. As a child, Emily was often reminded that she was a mistake. Her mother's anger, fueled by heartbreak, would lash out in words that cut deep. Over time, those words built invisible walls inside her, teaching her one painful lesson, that she wasn't enough. In school, she faded into the background. She wore second-hand clothes while other girls laughed in glittering new ones. She worked late shifts at the local diner instead of going to dances or parties, and when people did notice her, it was never for the right reasons, never for her heart. By adulthood, Emily had mastered the art of disappearing. She dated men who treated her badly, believing that was all she deserved. Then came Daniel Hayes, a man from a very different world. He was confident, successful, and kind, an architect who built towers out of dreams. But despite all his achievements, Daniel carried his own share of scars, a broken engagement, a betrayal that left him wary of love that looked perfect but felt hollow. One snowy night, Daniel walked into Emily's diner just looking for coffee. What he found was something far more real. He noticed her, not because she was trying to be seen, but because she wasn't. Her quiet presence, her soft smile when someone thanked her, it was the kind of beauty you don't find in a crowd. The next night he came back, and then again, not for the coffee, but for her. Weeks later, he asked her out. Emily froze, convinced it was a cruel prank. But his steady eyes told her otherwise. Against every whisper of self-doubt, she said yes. And now here she was, sitting across from him in a restaurant far too beautiful for her comfort. The chandeliers sparkled like stars, the air smelled of roses and wine, and all she could think was, "I don't belong here." Her hands shook so badly that she nearly spilled her water. Finally, her voice broke. "I don't deserve this date." Daniel leaned forward, his tone calm but firm. "You're right," he said. "You don't deserve this date. You deserve more. You deserve someone who sees you for who you are, someone who reminds you every day that you are enough. And if you don't believe it yet, I'll believe it for you." For the first time, Emily felt something she hadn't felt in years. Seen. Dinner passed in gentle conversation. Daniel listened, really listened, as she shared her life. He didn't pity her. He didn't try to fix her. He simply cared. And in that quiet understanding, Emily began to breathe again. After dinner, they walked under falling snow. Daniel draped his coat over her shoulders, shivering himself but smiling anyway. She looked up and said softly, "I've never felt good enough for anyone." He turned to her and said, "Don't measure yourself by the people who failed to see your worth. Their blindness doesn't define you. You survived things they couldn't imagine, and that makes you extraordinary." Her tears fell freely then, not out of shame but out of release. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Healing wasn't easy, but Daniel was patient. He didn't try to erase her scars. He honored them. He brought flowers to her. Diner made her laugh when she wanted to hide and reminded her again and again that she mattered. When Daniel finally introduced her to his family, Emily was terrified, but they welcomed her with warmth and open hearts. For the first time, she felt what it meant to belong. Years later, in that same restaurant, the one where she had once whispered, "I don't deserve this date," Daniel knelt down on one knee. Through tears of joy, Emily realized that love isn't about what you deserve. It's about choosing, every day, to see the best in someone, even when they can't see it themselves. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to HQ Infinite Stories. Because every time you do, you help remind the world that kindness, hope, and love still exist. And before we end, tell us in the comments, have you ever felt unworthy of love only to discover that you were more than enough all along? Emily's story wasn't just about finding Daniel, it was about finding herself. Because sometimes the greatest love story is the one that begins when you finally learn to love you.